Morally stuck paying a bill that is not mine. I 29 female will get right to it. Last year I lost my best friend and roommate to an illness. The Wi-Fi bill is in his name. When I tried to get the account transferred to me, they said I couldn't because I wasn't listed on the account, which I understood. They told me that his best friend had to sign a form. I kept repeating that he passed and that the dead don't sign. He said that my other option was to bring in his death certificate. I don't have the testicular fortitude to ask his grieving mother for it over a damn Wi-Fi bill. So for the past year I have been spending $150 a month on Wi-Fi, that I do use but want lowered and put in my own name. I was thinking of just trying to find a cheap service and just let the bill fall off, but I am not clear on what impact that will have on best friend's mother. Can I get out of this without opening the wound of his mother and get cheap but great service in my own name? Edit: the company is Comcast, so speaking to a human being take like 2 hours. I am taking in all the advice. It seems best to let the bill lapses and start an account in my own name, and if they ask just say roommate no longer lives with me. Edit: 2 I'm reading all the comments and it has put my mind at ease. I will no longer pay the bill and in person speak to a rep on how to just get my own service and cancel the current one. Also, if they insist on the certificate, I have options that doesn't involve bothering his mother. Paying the bill for a full year, although thoughtful, was stupid to do. I will correct this. I now know how to handle the situation. Call and set up new service at the address. Tell them the old service was for someone else that moved out. Just stop paying it. You're not responsible for the bill since your name is not on it. They'll cancel it for non-payment, then you can get your own. I'm sorry for the loss of your best friend. Just in case you need to hear the math from someone else, you are spending $1,800 a year because you don't want to make a phone call. The mom won't be mad. See if Comcast will take an obituary. Just contact his mom. Ask how she's doing. It may brighten her day to hear from her son's best friend. She's had to do things a lot harder than emailing a copy of his death certificate. It will be easier for her in the long run. She won't have the Wi-Fi company tracking her down. So sorry for your loss. As someone who works in telecoms, there are 2 options. 1. Supply the death certificate to transfer ownership of the account. Understandably, not the best idea in this case. 2. Set up an account under your own name as a new customer. Tell them you're just moving in and they'll do what's called an active line takeover. As long as no one call the current supplier to dispute this, it'll take over the services and the previous account would be closed and cancelled. When they come looking for outstanding balances, it won't be in your name, so not your problem. I don't know if this varies by state, but you can probably just get a death certificate yourself from the health department. No need to bother mom. Call the mom and ask for a copy of the certificate. It's not unreasonable to have to deal with these kinds of things after a death. Take mom out for lunch to pick up the cert in person and to say thanks. Why are you paying the bill? They have no authority, rights or means to collect from you. You have no obligation to pay bills that are not in your name. Stop paying. FYI, when a loved one dies, the first thing you learn is that you need to order like 15 death certificates in order to resolve all of these types of loose ends. She will likely understand why you need it and also why you didn't ask sooner. Hugs. Letting this drag on for a year is concerning. I would roll dice by getting new Wi-Fi in my name and let the other bill lapse. I think the company would have to prove the debt before they can collect from his mom. Crazy that you kept paying the bill. You can let his mom know, but I just not pay it and get your own service. If they claim there's already service to that address, then just tell them he passed away. Don't transfer. New customers, you get the best deals. I wouldn't pay that bill, it's not yours. I would just use the service till they disconnect it. It'll have very little impact on his estate and then you can get a new internet service installed. I think getting the mom to send the death certificate is the best route. If that doesn't work, I had a similar issue with a roommate who moved out suddenly and disappeared. Couldn't shut down the account or transfer it to my name. The landlord was able to call the ISP and shut down the account using the info he had on file. Of course, your landlord has to be willing to deal with Comcast's bullshit, so I'd go the death certificate route first. Sorry for your loss. Comcast Xfinity is fairly trash. I'd recommend switching completely while you're at it. It's not in your name. Just open an account that is and just inform the family that he has an open Wi-Fi account or forward them the mail so they can see it that way. Just stop paying the bill. Just like the dead don't sign off on stuff, the dead do not pay bills. If they forward the bill to the mother, she can then forward the death certificate on her own if she so chooses. This will not have any impact on the mother unless she's also on the bill and receiving services. But as I said before, she could simply send in a copy of the death certificate. Don't pay the bill. The bill is in his name. He's dead. It is his debt and they will not be able to collect against you. Just let the bill pass and get a new account. Word of advice from a tech guy, get your own modem router. Best option is 2 separate units, but a modem router is fine if you're not a super tech person like me. It's a bit of an upfront cost, but it'll pay for itself multiple times over in a year. Especially with that bill price. Yikes. You've been paying for a year a bill for a dead person. Stop doing that immediately. The issue is not your personal finances. And if they ask, just say roommate no longer lives with me. If they ask, I'm not him, click. Until they decide to disconnect, free Wi-Fi. Sorry for your loss. Frankly, the person being deceased and no longer living with you means you aren't responsible for the bills, period. Comcast isn't the company I would feel morally obligated to anything, and the dead can't really have debt. So my suggestion is, just call them open, say you want service at this address. The existing account is not your problem, and that tell Comcast they don't live there. Done. Also, I'm sorry about your loss. If there's a physical store in the area, you can take the equipment back and tell them to shove sand. I tried cancelling with Comcast and they gave me the runaround until I showed up and forced them to take their equipment back. I don't understand this. The service bill isn't in your name, why do you feel responsible for it? You can start a new service under your name for that address, you don't need to go through all these loopholes. It's not your responsibility for it if your name wasn't on it. Same thing for a car or mortgage, if you didn't go sign then clearly it's not your problem. Your morality is commendable, if misplaced. This is a scenario that needs to be either rectified by his executor or estate and does not fall under your responsibility. Get your own account and let the chips fall where they may on the deceased account. It's massively fucked up that this is Comcast's policy. My roommate moved out and we spent 4 months begging Comcast to let me pay them for internet and put it in my name. Filled out all the forms, called weekly for literal months and they wouldn't do it. I just had her cancel and switch to @T, it was cheaper and faster anyway. You don't need the deceased person's cable account to get transferred, you just start a new one. There's nothing to transfer, this happens all the time when someone moves out. Don't pay it at all. Let them cut it off and let them chase your dead friend for it. You should never pay on a debt that isn't yours. It would have been wise to open a new account at the same residence and dispute the company when they argued it. Get account in your own name, ignore the bill. I was screwed over by Comcast because they said I never returned a cable box, but I did. They wouldn't even let me pay for the analog cable box that was no longer used, so that I could clear my credit. Screw Comcast, they are an evil company. It's not in your name, screw them. Let them eat it. Ask around about how hated Comcast is. Former Comcast employee. You should be able to call and get a death disconnect to stop the charges. After that, you can create a new account in your name. When it disconnects, do not pay the bill. You are not obligated to. That is what his estate is for.